and welcome to the Doofcast, the official variety podcast of doofmedia.com. My name is Scott Daly, and the first rule of the Doofcast is please, please, please talk about the Doofcast.
And I'm Matt Freeman, and the second rule of the Doofcast is that you have to punch someone in the face this week.
Matt, you can't just tell people to punch other people in the face. That's incredibly irresponsible.
The third rule of the Doofcast is you do not challenge your co-host.
What? Fine. This week on the show, we're continuing our Deconstructing director series, this time looking at David Fincher's fourth film, 1999's Fight Club. This is going to be a very interesting conversation, Matt, because Fight Club is a movie we've already talked about on this show.
Yeah, like 5 years ago.
5 years ago, in the halcyon days of 2015, our third ever episode of what was then called the Weekly Planet podcast before we changed it to the Daily Planet podcast because the Weekly Planet was a thing already. Episode number 3. I was afraid to go back and listen to that, so I didn't do it.
So I did, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I honestly don't think we came off that poorly. I think the only difference between now and then is that I'm even more kind of embarrassed at 19-year-old Matt's thoughts and behaviors and feelings. Yeah,
I think this is a movie that both of us have seen many, many, many times. And I think as we've, 1999 was, I was 14, gonna be 15 years old that year. Obviously probably didn't see the movie when it came out because it was rated R. And I don't think my parents took me to rated R movies, but I don't think they would have taken me to that one. But definitely like late high school, college was like, this movie, Matt. I remember you and I both really liking this movie in college.
Yeah. I think the story that I probably told in the last episode is that I read on something online saying, like, whatever you do, don't watch Fight Club every day for a week straight. and I took this as a challenge for some reason, and I watched it every day for a week straight. Like, on some days I'd watch like the director's cut or something, or like not director's cut, the like director's commentary and so forth. But it was a bad idea.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that people told you that was a bad idea, and it was a bad idea. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about Fight Club. I've been looking forward to this since we picked Fincher. I've been looking forward to this. I do kind of want to. I just want to see how much we've changed in 5 years. Like not only as critics, but just as human beings. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that, and then we're going to wrap up this episode talking a little bit about foreign film, which is a topic we don't talk about a lot on this show, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the fact that we don't talk about foreign film a lot on this show. Feels like the right time to do that, considering which movie won Best Picture this year.
Yeah, sounds good.
So that's the episode. All right, without further ado, let's talk about Fight Club.
I want you to hit me as hard as you can. Why? How much can you know about yourself? You've never been in a fight.
Wait, let me start earlier. Like many of you, I was stuck. You want me to deprioritize my current reports until you advise of a status upgrade?
Make these your primary action items.
I couldn't sleep.
No, you can't die from insomnia.
I'd flip through catalogs and wonder, what kind of dining set defines me as a person? This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time. Welcome! I prayed for a different life.
Soap. I make and I sell soap.
And this is how I met Tyler Durden.
All right, Matt, what is Fight Club about?
An insomniac office worker and a devil-may-care soap maker form an underground fight club that evolves into something much, much more.
Yes, there it is. That's perfect. As we said, this movie came out in 1999. It was written by Jim Olds, based on a book by Chuck Palahniuk, directed by David Fincher, of course, starring Edward Norton and the fast, twitchy energy of a 90s Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin with this one.
Well,
first of all, I think what I want to say at the top is that in all my changing opinions of this movie, I have never stopped thinking this was a good movie.
Sure.
I think this is an incredible movie, and I still, to this day, watching it today in preparation for the show, think this is a great movie. The reasons why I think it is a great movie have fundamentally changed since I was a kid, and maybe slightly shifted a bit since we talked about it 5 years ago.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I mean, to contextualize me saying I was embarrassed, it's nothing to do with the quality of the film, the script, the acting, the cinematography, the directing. Everything is great. It's just it's sort of like I had really loved Starship Troopers as just a great movie about shooting alien space bugs, and it had never occurred to me that it was anything more than that. And then realizing much later that it was not only more than that, but it was maybe the opposite of that in a certain sense.
Sure. So you're trying to tell me that this movie is not about how freeing it is to punch friends and then blow up credit card companies.
So the thing is, I think that if we can criticize the movie, I think that it may actually be just a tad tonally and thematically incoherent. And I'm not sure if I'm right about that. I'm not sure if I'm
that's
just
way harsher than I expected you to be.
Well, see, that's the thing, is I might be reading it wrong. Like I might just be carrying in all of my baggage of kind of how I have read it in the past. But the movie seems to want to portray certain things as being cool or deep or powerful, and then it kind of undercuts those things, but in a way that is very that is kind of less obvious and less clear. And so you kind of have to reach for the read where, oh no, actually Fight Club isn't supposed to be cool. Project Mayhem isn't supposed to be like the apotheosis of hanging out with your bros. Destroying the credit card companies is actually a bad idea. Like let me take a little microcosm of it. Like you have all of these scenes sort of portraying the Space Monkeys as being cool via the aesthetic choices, like the visuals, the Tyler Durden saying deep sounding things, and then and then the person that you have arguing against this position is a crazy man in his underwear, running around and acting wacky, and you actually subconsciously will always side with Brad Pitt over Edward Norton.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I don't know whether what I'm saying is a critique of the movie or a critique of myself as a bad movie watcher, and I'm like almost perfectly balanced between those two extremes.
Yeah, the place I'm in right now when I watch this movie is a place of how did people misunderstand this movie so much? This movie seems so transparently obvious that all these people are just stupid and it's just all bullshit. Like, and this could literally just be age. This could literally just be, I'm in my mid-30s now. I've heard all this shit before. But like all the platitudes that the narrator as Edward Norton and later Brad Pitt is spewing, it just comes off to me as bullshit. Like even that one line he repeats so many times over and over again, on a long enough time the survival rate of everyone drops to 0, which is one of those things that like sounds cool when you say it, but then you think about it for a minute and you're like, that doesn't mean anything. All that means is that everyone's gonna die. No shit. Like we all know that. Yeah,
your life is ending 1 minute at a time. Yeah, I mean,
wow, that's so deep.
It is all kind of sophomoric, right? Like And one thing, but like I think that it's sophomoric because I watched this movie when I was literally a sophomore, in high school, or is it meant to be? Like there's certain scenes that definitely I think speak to the, oh yeah, this is all meant to be ridiculous. Like I think probably the funniest, like the biggest laugh in the movie to me, is all the ridiculous stuff he's doing in his office to antagonize people, and then that culminating in him saying he's writing these incredibly freshman in high school level haikus, and then emailing them to everyone in the company, basically.
Imagine how fucking annoying that would be,
right?
Oh my god. And he think like that's the weird thing is like, so I think, sorry, I'll let you finish because I'm going to go on a long tangent. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say like the narration, the voiceover rather, is just one of the things that makes this movie is his delivery of like, I sent them to everyone. Like just the perfect Ed Norton narration just kind of makes
Right.
the movie. But that's I just want to talk about that moment and why that worked. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, there's just this there's this interesting thing with Ed Norton's character where like he's built by the movie and by Fincher's direction. I think very importantly by the way Fincher frames him. Like I think Fincher, like we've talked about this on Alien 3 at how Fincher uses shots from below in very interesting ways. Like he uses a low angle shot very interestingly. The way he frames Ed Norton in this movie is like so infantilizing. Like it's so diminishing. Like he's a piece of shit. He's terrible. Like he's like at the beginning of the movie, he's like this sniveling, terrible piece of shit. And then the idea is from a extremely like face value read of this movie is we're seeing him become this person of more confidence. But to me, all of those scenes just seemed as equally sniveling and terrible. Like like you compare the single serving friend quote, which Brad Pitt, Tyler Durden like mercilessly mocks, which I loved that because I just want everyone to mock everyone in this movie because everyone's terrible. But this like he's so proud. Like we have this narrator voiceover talking about single serving coffee, single serving sugar, single serving cream. The people I met on the planes, they're single serving too. And it's like this, like he's reading that Ed Norton voice that's supposed to be like this wise, learned voice. And then we see him repeat that to another. He actually like
Says it out loud. Yeah.
He's saying it, and then he does the same thing with the speech he's giving about the car recalls, his job. And it's like he's saying it in this very like Ed Norton channeling all his acting ability to try to sound cooler or serious or like edgy. And then it cuts to him just saying this to a woman on the plane. And it's like, oh, so like you're just putting on a thing for like, it's just all bullshit. Like it's even the narration to us is just putting on a show. It's just putting on a character. And yeah, then we get to the haikus, and that's supposed to be the learned, like awoke, like he's not asleep anymore type of character, and it's just still bullshit. It's just still sanctimonious like nonsense.
Yeah, well, there's certain things where they just throw around these ridiculous words that for some reason I didn't think were ridiculous when I was younger, but how he's like, I am enlightened.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are you enlightened?
Right.
You're not, you don't even know what that means. And,
Right.
or like talking about wanting to hit bottom. And they're like, why? And I'm like, why would you want to hit bottom?
Right. And it's tourism in the exact same kind of way him going to the support groups is tourism.
Yeah.
Like he's a tourist in misery. Like he is a white upper middle class American in the 90s.
Right.
Like and look, I get the feeling of like you're sitting there and like, what does my life mean? This deep existential like fear that comes with just being alive right now, right? Like sometimes there's like I feel that way too. Sometimes where I'm like, oh my God, like am I happy anymore? Is this the way we're supposed to be living? Like I think these are universal feelings that everyone has at some point. But this movie channels them into this faux like enlightenment bullshit. They're like, yes, did you know that consumerism is bad? It's like, wow, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
wow.
It's I think the only time that I've really strongly felt the kind of emotions that this movie is kind of playing on is when I was just very lonely.
Sure, yeah.
Like maybe when I first got to college was actually not coincidentally also the time when I was watching this movie a whole bunch. And it was also the time before I really had made any friends. And that when you're lonely, you feel like everything feels like the world is against you, and you think in an Ed Norton monologue in your head as you walk around. And then when you actually have like other people in your life, then it just doesn't matter anymore. And like the movie even I think acknowledges this because it is kind of about human connection. Like that's kind of, not kind of. I think that is what it's about. Like he forms this friendship with Tyler Durden, who is not a real person, but that's how desperate he is for connection that he invents a person to be friends with. And then he ends up becoming like sort of friends, but not really with all the Project Mayhem people, because he like Ed Norton, the narrator, always seems to be completely alienated from those people. And they're all in awe of Tyler Durden, but he's not really their friend either.
Right.
And then Marla is yet another character where he desperately wants to have connection with her. The movie gives us so many scenes of him like looking bitter about the fact that he's not close to her, or like staring wistfully after her. But it's Tyler who actually has the relationship with her. But his relationship is equally hollow because it's just sport fucking.
Right. Well, and he pushes. You're right that it can't even be his, and he channels his frustration with that through this irrational hatred of her.
Yeah.
For absolutely no reason.
Yes. So everything the movie is doing is saying this guy desperately needs human connection, and so desperately that it's made him have split personality.
Yeah.
But he can't manage it, and he's too screwed up. And then the end of the movie, the resolution is him deciding that he's willing to actually kind of sacrifice and mess things up to save Marla, and taking her hand in a very like kind of innocent and charming gesture. Like that's the emotional arc of the movie. Actually,
yeah, I think we were talking before we started recording that Marla is the key to this whole thing. Absolutely, 100%. And that's a read that I don't think I've ever had as a young as a young frustrated white man who was just like, yeah, fucking society,
right?
But no, and that you really look like he treats this woman like shit, like absolute shit. Like he either personality, the narrator personality, the Tyler Durden personality, both treat this woman like absolute nonsense. She is someone who's legitimately suffering. And the interesting thing about this is the part where she has the Meals on Wheels meals for the two women that have died that she is still collecting. And she says, well, they're dead and I'm in poverty. And it's like, oh, yeah, look, here's the one person in the movie that actually is suffering from this society that these people are suffering from. And I don't mean to say this to minimize like any of the existential and kind of worry and depression that people of all class ranges suffer from. But like, it just seems so like the things they're complaining about compared to the shit that's actually going on seems so minor.
Yeah, that's what's so confusing is like this totally spoke to my teenage angst.
Sure.
And so I'm like, is that valid still? Like I wasn't wrong to feel that. I mean, I guess I'm still even now not sure exactly what I was supposed to be feeling. Like there are certain things that I am certain about. Like I used to think that the Fight Club stuff and kind of the escalation into Project Mayhem was like cool and like sounded like a cool thing. In kind of the same way that sometimes you feel like mob movies are cool. You're like, yeah,
sure.
That's a cool. This is supposed to be cool. You don't notice until you're 34 that this is pathetic. Like it's obviously just cult indoctrination. Very, very clearly and textually the techniques of cult indoctrination.
Yeah.
To break these people down and make them worship this crazy person, like delusional, violent terrorist, and it's just all bad actually, and I think that's pretty clear to me now. That's one of the things where I'm like, nah, I think I just read it wrong before. I think I was just young and I didn't get that this was supposed to be a riff on cult indoctrination and kind of the horror of that. There are other things though that like I'm slightly less sure about, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it is a very good point that you say that the character that is supposed to be explaining to the audience that all this stuff is fucked up looks crazy and unhinged. Like the way the movie frames him in the latter half of the movie, like, I mean, by the end of it, he's running around in his underwear. Like, holding a bunch of papers that are like every time he runs, like another paper goes flying behind him, and he just has this unhinged look on his face. It is, I mean, it is so fascinating that that's the way that Fincher chose to kind of frame this stuff. So I agree that like from a certain perspective, you see why all of this stuff makes sense. But then like, I don't know, like I kind of think maybe that's the genius of this movie is that as you grow with it, you see new things in it. Like I do generally think it's okay for a person that's younger to come out of this movie, not saying that fight clubs are cool. That's stupid. No, obviously not. You intentionally misread the movie for that. But to see some kind of like, some kind of kinship in the idea of like, you know, these 9-to-5 office jobs are sapping us of our life, and people are like so isolated and alone and apart, and it's just kind of ripping us down and ripping our souls out. Like I think it's understandable to feel that way and feel that the movie says, yeah, like totally, like this is a problem and we need to do something about it. I think the movie is very clear that the solution of this movie is not the right one. Yeah,
so there's one thing that I kind of wanted to work around to. I think this is a good way to segue into it is I at some point Chuck Palahniuk went on the Joe Rogan podcast, and it was interesting to me because it was obvious. I mean, Joe Rogan basically said this. Rogan is like a jiu-jitsu guy, and he was very clearly connecting Fight Club, the idea of the fight clubs, to the idea of like, yeah, obviously it's really good for people to like, it's healthy for groups of men to get together and roll around and learn self-defense and kind of push each other physically and feel a sense of camaraderie and, you know, work out the stresses of the day with a little bit of you know, actual physical combat basically, and then feel much better afterward. Like he kind of walked through it and it's like, oh yeah, like I've done martial arts before. That all sounds exactly like what that is. And that's all true. The part of Fight Club the part of the fight clubs that's like the problem is like, first of all, the fact that the violence is not under control, and yeah. I'm trying to and then of course the fact that this is all sort of a gateway into not like healthy masculine connection, but forming a cult of personality and then ultimately just like a full-blown cult.
Well, it so quickly transforms to just like the middle phase of this movie is, hey, let's do funny pranks. And it's just like, it's just stupid, dumb shit. Like the putting the scared people faces on the airline, like instructional documents. It's like, what are you, 15 years old? Come on. Like, that's not funny. That's just stupid.
Yeah. It's an interesting mix of stupid and silly things and like heinous terrorist acts.
Yeah. Then it definitely escalates from there. But yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just like the like bring all the birds over so they can shit on the cars and be like, oh, look at there's poop on the cars. Right. It's just like, come on, guys. And yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you on like I think having a group of friends to hang out with, like it's okay for men to want to hang out with a group of men and I don't know, go for a jog or something or play some sports or something. You don't have to beat each other bloody. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's taking that idea, that core idea, which is, yeah, I mean, having companionship is good. Having friendship, even having like masculine friendship is important for some men, not all men, but some men. And having some sort of physical aggression to work out your frustrations is good, but it takes all of that to the most toxic level. Like immediately. And like, I never believed any of these people in this group were actually friends. I mean, that's one thing that I think Fincher does really smart in this movie is we never see any of these people outside of Tyler and the narrator hang out with each other. Like the closest he gets is to Bob. That's like the closest he gets to having any kind of actual like bond with someone. And he met him before the Fight Club. So like no one in Fight Club has any kind of like actual friendship, camaraderie. It's all just this faux cult in which they don't even seem to like each other because they just yell at each other a lot.
Yeah.
And they don't even know each other's names. And the one time that there is a bond, the one time that he, like that Tyler is bonding with, what's his name?
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. Thank you. He then proceeds to beat every living shit out of him.
Right. And then every scene after that, the guy is like surly at him.
Yeah.
Which totally makes sense. Right. And
yeah,
because from that guy's perspective, Tyler was like favoring him and then just like, maimed him permanently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of Bob, like if we weren't supposed to understand that this was all supposed to be bad for him, Bob, he gets Bob killed. Right. Bob was, he sucks him into a cult and then gets him killed. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. It's an interesting kind of analysis of that whole dynamic, because like, I really do think that there's not anything intrinsically wrong with like wanting to do like bonding activities.
No,
right? Like,
yeah.
like even doing mildly stupid shit as a form of bonding with your peers, I think is something that is appropriate at all ages. But like you said, it escalates immediately to the point of toxicity and then beyond that. Like it's kind of I don't know. I'm trying to make a simile. It's not working.
Well, I think the movie makes it very clear that the bonding is the means to an end and not an end of itself. And that's why this movie's talking about enlightenment. Tyler is giving these speeches about how you need to not care about the shit. Don't care about your stuff. You're not special. And the solution to that seems to be like, well, care about the group, care about the team, care about the us of it all. Don't care about things, care about people. But that's not, like, it's all bullshit. Like this idea at the end of the day when Tyler's saying like, we're going to take down these credit card companies and it's going to reset the debt to zero and then everyone will be equal. We'll all be equal. That's none of what we've seen in Project Mayhem at all would lead you to believe that any of those people actually care about that. Like, actually care about that thing. I mean, first of all, none of the members are allowed to question everything, so they care about nothing by design. They're designed as monkeys that will just follow orders. But I don't think Tyler cares about that at all.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I'm thinking about when they all arrive with like 6 packs of beer at the end, and it's just like, clearly they just wanted to like watch explosions. That there wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't like a high-minded philosophical purpose behind this. It's confusing because there'll be certain things like you had to hand it to him. Tyler had a plan, and you're like, well, I don't know if he
did. He
did like I think he. I mean, I think I said this in the last podcast. Like in the book, Tyler wants to like blow up. Like I think it might be a credit card building. I'm not sure. But he wants to blow up a building and have it topple onto a museum because he wants to destroy history and reset history. And it's like, well, that's a delusional, that's a flagrantly delusional idea.
Yeah, that's not how anything works.
That's not how anything works. And you're not supposed to think that it is. You're just like, okay, he's just doing crazy things.
Yeah.
And that is the Tyler of the book. The Tyler of the book is actually like a lot more childish in some ways. Like it really plays up this idea that like we have a few references to like just like in Boy Scouts and stuff like that, but the Tyler in the book is a lot more kind of fixated on childhood. The film also has several scenes where it kind of hints that like this is really all about Ed Norton being abandoned by his father as a child. Like this is literally all about that. He's processing that trauma.
Yeah,
that's what this movie is.
Yeah. Hey,
yeah.
Ed Norton, go to a therapist.
Yeah. Right.
There you go. I mean, like, it's not going to immediately solve your problem, but yeah, I mean, like, he has daddy issues. That's
right.
A lot of people have parental issues.
I mean, you can trace all of his problems with like male companionship and female companionship back to male abandonment feelings. And,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think the idea it's interesting. I don't remember I don't remember how the book portrays Tyler physically, but it's clearly intentional to have Tyler be played by like sex idol Brad Pitt.
Oh yeah, the best looking man of all
Yeah.
time. And that's I one thing I do remember we absolutely said on the last podcast was talking about the moment where they both look at the underwear model on the advertisement on the bus and like laugh at it. And Edward Norton says something like, "Tch, is that what a man's supposed to look like?" Psh, psh.
Yeah.
And then the next scene is Brad Pitt fighting with his shirt off, and he's got like the most chiseled, fucking lean but muscular body ever. Like
Yeah.
he looks 1999 muscly, which is like way different from 2020 muscly. Like isn't it amazing how much things have changed?
Yeah.
Like-
Although I do want to push back against this thing that I keep seeing where people are like, it's easy to look like Tyler. It's easy to look like Brad Pitt looks like in Fight Club. He just has low body fat.
No.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Watch the movie.
He's fucking
he's
cut, man.
actually, he's got muscle mass and he's cut. Like,
Yeah.
he's not just cut. Ed Norton is just cut. That's what he's just skinny. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's the thing is like they're like laughing at like muscle and like going to the gym and working for a nice body, but then like obviously
Yeah.
he works out. Like
Right.
you would do not look like that unless you are spending a lot of time working out.
Right. Well, and he's like perfectly tanned, and he always has his hair done
yeah.
like clearly just like styled perfectly, and he's like incredibly stylish.
Yeah.
Like
and like anyone else in Project Mayhem, they all have to shave their hair off. They all wear nothing but black, but not Tyler. Tyler always looks stylish.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I noticed this time that I don't know if I've ever noticed before is when Ed Norton first learns that he is Tyler. Like the first time Tyler sees him, he's got like this huge chip in his teeth.
Brad Pitt does. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
he's
he has that big chip in his front teeth for the rest of the movie, and I never noticed that before. I don't know how. I've seen this movie so many times.
Yeah. I think I've noticed it. Yeah. I mean, he does look worse for wear in that part. His head is shaved at the end, and
Yeah.
and but he's still sort of like always wearing like very interesting clothes that the narrator would never wear, right?
Yeah. But I just wonder, like, do you think that's like a collapse of the illusion is making it so his look changes because he's not dressed like the cool, like he looks much less cool and suave, and he looks much more kind of crazy. Like,
Yeah, I think that's intentional. I think you're supposed to see like we've crossed the boundary into realizing what this really is, and so the even the inner representation of Tyler as this cool, admirable guy is dashed. Which begs the question: why is everybody else follow? Like, if you actually go through this movie imagining Edward Norton wearing a poorly fitting white collared shirt, giving these speeches and having all these men just like stare at him intently and like nod to everything he says, and just like, I don't know, is he that charismatic when he's in Tyler mode? That's I mean, I think maybe it's just supposed to be saying something about how easily swayed people are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think you're right. I mean, I do think that's one thing that I've always been curious about is like imagining the movie from the way everyone else saw it, because we get really fleeting glimpses of that, right? Like we see Ed Norton giving speeches, we see him fighting himself in the parking lot, and every time I watch the scene of the two of them fighting, I'm imagining this, it's just as Ed Norton fighting, and I just find it very hard to believe a group of people will come over to a person beating the shit out of themselves and being like, hey, can I do that?
Right.
It just seems like such a weird thing for anyone to ever do. Like, I can imagine someone seeing two people fighting each other and then a group of them coming over and then kind of get sucked into the act of fighting. But just like someone beating themselves up, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Man, there's so many scenes where I'm going through and I'm like sure that we're right, and then I'm like, yeah, but what about the time when he grabs the guy out of the convenience store and puts a gun to his head? Like, that's within the film, like just viewing it neutrally, you're like, this is portraying Tyler as being correct here. He is a cool, beyond the restrictions of normal social boundaries demigod, and he is breaking this poor guy out of his humdrum existence and giving him the gift of a kind of freedom that he would never be able to get otherwise by telling him he's going to kill him if he doesn't start becoming a veterinarian. Like you do have to like step outside of the movie and get kind of galaxy brain to consider that the movie is not saying that. I would say. I
mean, maybe, I don't know. Like it just strikes me in 2020 that perhaps the reason that a person that's working in a gas station convenience store cannot become a veterinarian is not just because they've chosen to move away from that path, but because like it costs a shit ton of money, and they maybe like it just reeks to me of an extremely like middle class, like I have everything at my fingertips
it's
type
easy.
of. Yeah, like the only thing stopping you from achieving your dreams is just you trying. And it's like, well, no, it's a little more complicated than that, guys. Like veterinary school's really expensive. It's a lot of school. Like maybe he doesn't have enough money. I mean, he was going to a community college, right? He was not going to a university. He was probably going to a 2-year community college that he was going to try to turn that into. I don't know to get into vet school if you need a full undergrad degree or not. I'm not sure, but I would kind of think so. And so like he had a long road ahead of him, and maybe the dude just couldn't fucking afford it because not everyone can afford it. And it's just, I don't know, like it's just a very like simplistic outlook on what does and doesn't motivate people and the actual issues that people are facing.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I agree that like from a very like face level examination, like I do think it's interesting that Fincher we never get to see what happens with that. Like we have this moment where Brad Pitt is like, tomorrow morning, Raymond K. Hessel's day will be like the best day he's had in his entire life. His breakfast will taste 10 times better. But that's just Tyler saying that. Like we don't know if that's true. We don't know if this is like actually an effective tool to actually get people to get out of their rut if they're in a rut.
This is kind of what I mean about needing to step outside of the movie, because it's not that I disagree with anything that you've said. It's just when you're watching the movie, I don't think any of that occurs to you. Yeah, sitting here now, I can be like, maybe he just decided he didn't want to be a veterinarian. Like
right.
Maybe he was like, you know what? Nah, not for me. And it's like it's portrayed as being like, oh, he's a convenience store clerk. Might as well be dead.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like that's like very. It's very insulting to a large class of people that like are working really hard in jobs like that like are surviving and trying as hard as they can. You know, like it is this very 90s. Dude perspective on how the world works.
I mean, it's kind of funny because it's like, okay, he's working at a convenience store. Presumably he doesn't have a lot of spare money.
Right.
How is he going to go back to college?
Yeah, like in 6 weeks if you're not on your way to becoming a veterinarian. What does that mean?
Right.
Like what do you want me to do? Do you want me to get a book on animals, or do you want me to be enrolled in school? Are you going to give me the money for that? Yeah. And we see in the backside of Tyler's bedroom door has like dozens of these, right? And I think he calls them human sacrifices or something like that, which is really ominous. Like it didn't seem like that was the goal with Raymond K. Hessel here. It didn't seem like sacrificial lambs was the goal of that thing. Yeah. So I don't know. Like and again, this is my much older perspective, having seen this movie many times. I definitely would not have gotten here. And I think that goes back to kind of your central question here is like, is it the movie's fault or not? Like if someone walks away from this movie taking it at the face value we're talking about, did the movie fail? And I don't know if I have an answer to that question. I don't know if I honestly wonder what David Fincher thinks about it. We haven't talked about David Fincher very much in this episode.
Well, we not directly, but I feel like a lot of this is direction, like a lot of the idea of how things are portrayed, because you could take that scene. You could take the Raymond K. Hessel scene, and you could direct it two entirely different ways. You could direct it one way, portraying Brad Pitt as a cold, deranged and out of touch psycho, and Raymond K. Hessel as just objectively the victim of something terrible. Or you could portray it the way I think the movie portrays it, where it makes sure to like give it this end cap of like, oh, Brad Pitt's heart is in the right place, and also the gun was empty, so don't worry. There are certain changes that I would even say would make this a lot more clear for me. Like one of them would be, don't show that the gun was empty, show that the gun had bullets in it. Or maybe later be like, you know, like have him say stuff about like, oh yeah, we're not gonna, this is supposed to be nonviolent, we're not killing anyone, the buildings are evacuated, and then, you know, maybe reveal that he's actually killed tons of people. Like it would be darker, but I think it should be darker. Like it's way too sanitized. Like he gets off without actually having materially harmed anyone except Bob, I guess. In a way
we got to
that
break some omelets though.
He says that, but then you don't actually see any eggs get broken. He's gonna kill Marla, and you're like, okay, well that's crossing the line, obviously. But like, he then stops him from killing Marla. So Tyler didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know. I mean, they didn't hurt anyone physically, but like this idea of like getting back, like they blow up the computer store and they blow up the, they set people's apartments on fire to make the smiley face, and they're like making food gross and doing all this like domestic terrorism type stuff that might not result in death, but they're fucking a lot of people over.
Yeah.
And like it's very easy to say, well, like this is revenge on the corporations. It's like, is it really like Starbucks that's going to suffer by you rolling a piece of art into a local Starbucks, or is it the people working at that Starbucks, or the owner of the franchise, or the like? It's I don't know. Like I agree with you. I also have a very hard time just taking it at face value that like you're gonna cause 10 buildings to collapse in a downtown metropolitan area and like nobody's gonna get hurt from that. Like I just don't believe that.
It seems like it's mostly going to be working class people who are hurt by all these things. Yeah.
I mean, it always is. Like this, like trying to punish the corporations. You know what a corporation's going to do? It's just going to say, "Oh, well, we're going to raise our prices," right. And then that's just like the consumer. Like,
sure.
It's just like that. This none of this seems to solve the problem. And his Tyler's speech about like how he sees like men hunting on the plains of ruined cities, like the overgrown grass of this ruined cities, and we're going to be like camping and hunting. It's just this like this. It's just a nonsense. Like the world is going to be so much better when civilization is taken down and we're back to our manly hunter gatherer roots. And it's just like, come on, dude.
Yeah, I mean, so this is one thing that's very interesting, just objectively, is how visceral my reactions were this time to certain ideas, like even kind of the innocuous stuff toward the start of the movie that's supposed to be funny, like putting bodily fluids in food and like splicing pornography into films. You're like, I think when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, that's funny. Stick it to those stodgy old people.
Yeah.
And now I'm like literally like viscerally like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like that's
right.
That's awful. Like you're just harming people for no reason. Like this isn't like it's funny in the sense of like, that's transgressive, and transgressive things are funny, but it's like, oh, that's just disgusting. Like you're a monster. Mm-hmm. I had a totally different visceral like in my body reaction to really the movie in general, but specifically like the sorts of even the mild terrorist stuff they get up to. You're just like, why are you doing this? You're just hurting people. You know, I mean, it's funny. You use the phrase like punish the corporation. It's like that's a concept that you see often, even now, even in the real world. It's like, what do you think a corporation is? It's just the employees.
Yeah.
Like that. What else would it be?
Yeah, the corporation's gonna do whatever it can to survive, and that usually means hurting the people most capable of being harmed.
Yeah.
If a corporation loses $1 million in profit next year because of your fucking shenanigans, what are they gonna do? They're gonna fire the working class people.
Yeah.
But I mean, but they don't care. Like, they don't actually care about monetary differences. They don't care about the wealth distribution. They don't care about rich versus poor. I don't know if any of these people are actually truly poor. Like the movie. I mean, I guess Bob is. We know Bob went bankrupt, right? He went bankrupt doing steroid shit, selling like horse steroids, which is like objectively a terrible thing to do. But I don't know, like, it just the actual wealth suffering of the people in Project Mayhem is not depicted in the movie, because I don't think anyone in that group cares about that.
Yeah. I think it's meant to be a kind of childish and like, again, sophomoric idea of like, this is the kind of stupid shit that young men think genuinely. And to not make it so we're upsetting any of our younger listeners, when we say young men, we mean us 15 years ago. Yeah, right. I mean, that's exactly what I'm thinking about, because I mean, there was I think the more your life looks like Edward Norton, the narrator's life, the more this movie might actually genuinely resonate, because I guess maybe I don't necessarily want to backpedal, but I want to contextualize and say, like, it's not that it's not real suffering to be like alienated and isolated and lonely.
Oh yeah.
And like even if you have a good job and you make good money, you can still be you can still be suffering an incredible amount.
Sure.
That's all true. It's just like, the answer to that is find some community and some hobbies.
No, what they do is look and blame society. It's society's fault.
It's society's fault. Like, I mean, he even actually does, like, going to the becoming a suffering tourist is his way of trying to find connection with people.
Yeah, I mean, it's based on a lie, but
it's based on a lie, and it's an extremely kind of deeply screwed up way of going about it, because he's not actually revealing anything about himself, so it can't ever be real connection. It's just like, well, they listen to me without waiting for their turn to speak, even though everything I'm saying is fake, so it can't actually make me feel better. And
it's very safe, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like perfectly safe. And then we get to cry together, which feels like we have made some kind of emotional bond, but we have not actually, because it is all fabricated.
I don't think I've ever tied the tourism he does early in the movie with the overall theme of the movie as much as I've done this watch through.
Yeah.
Just like really link. I almost kind of segmented the movie into that section, and then everything happens after it. But I think we're right on here that this is like, it's just more of the same, just in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. He's I think that is the key to his character, is he's desperate for connection. And I mean, it's funny because I don't even think he wants to like date Marla. I think he wants to have this human connection with this person who he deeply relates to, because she's obviously having this like similar internal struggles to him, because she also is doing this tourism thing. And instead he reacts to that with hate and jealousy and all this stuff, which is really just a cover for like, oh, someone who's just like me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're actually the exact people that need to find connection with each other, because they're both suffering on this level.
Yeah.
And look, I totally agree with everything you're saying there. Like, there was a time in my early 20s, like I had graduated from college. I was dating a girl who was still in college and would be for several more years. I was working at a job that had me work long hours and was like 50% travel. So I was just away from I felt like my life was on pause in every kind of way. Like I didn't really like my job. My relationship was long distance. I had friends, but I didn't get to see them that much because I was traveling so much. And it just sucks. It's a miserable experience. And so I can absolutely put myself in Ed Norton's head with that kind of stuff. But yeah, like the solutions that this movie offers to that are all just sanctimonious, like it's all bullshit. I know I've said that so many times, but it's all just bullshit. It's not a solution to any of those problems. Like the movie takes what is a real, like relatable issue that people have and says, here's your solution. And it's dumb. It's dumb. And I think I do agree that the one good thing that I love about the ending of this movie is I think the ending does make it clear that the solution to the problem is Marla, whether that is a romantic relationship or just kind of companionship. Him holding her hand at the end of the movie shows he's learned something.
Right. Yeah. It's, I guess maybe I might retract my thematically incoherent statement. And maybe replace it with just like the idea that you watch an hour of Brad Pitt standing on his soapbox and everybody lapping it up, and then the last 10 minutes or so try to walk that back in a way that doesn't emotionally connect.
Yeah.
And especially if you're not inclined to be someone who's going to like sit down and analyze what the movie was trying to say, then you just walk away from it thinking that it was saying all of the things that the characters were saying at you for the entire runtime.
Yeah, that's fair. I wonder, like, I think Bob's death is trying to hold a lot of weight in that regard. You know, that it's like that. This is a character. This is the first character we meet in the movie is Bob, and Ed Norton is just like really mean to him. That's the one thing. Maybe if he had been a little more kind to him, his death would have hurt a little more. But like, I don't know. Like like he starts to like Bob had bitch tits, and it's just like that's so mean. Like this poor guy went through a whole lot of shit, and he's just like mean to him at the beginning, and I think that ties into this kind of toxic masculinity stuff because he's grown breasts. Like we're just gonna be really fucking mean to this dude.
Yeah, I definitely felt like he was a pretty bad person on this viewing in particular.
Yeah.
For some reason this jumped out at me, and it never really jumped out at me before, where she calls him having taken a bottle of Xanax. And his apparent genuine heartfelt reaction is like, oh man, and then he like leaves the phone off the hook and walks away.
Yeah.
So presumably he's just leaving her to die.
Right. And I'm not sure the complex nature of the two sides of him in that, like whether he like knew subconsciously, like I'm going to switch to Tyler and head on over there or not. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Sure.
But I mean, I agree with you that like from the surface read, the first time you're watching the movie, you see a character who just says, oh, you're going to die. I'm going to leave the phone off the hook because I don't want to hear you yapping on and on and on. It's just like, and then his first reaction to Tyler being the one that saves her is, I should have just taken the 10 minutes and gone over there to watch her die, not to save her, not to help her, but to watch her die. And what has she done? What has Marla done at this point to deserve this kind of hatred? Exactly what he was doing and nothing more.
Yeah. She's too much like me. I can't tolerate it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's such a fascinating movie, and I think like I wonder if I will continue to change how I approach it as I grow older. Like I can't imagine what 15 years from now I will have learned in the intervening time that makes me change my mind about some of the things in this movie. But it is rather incredible.
Yeah, I think my first like note was like, I've seen this movie just too many times because there are a few movies that I can say this about, but this is one movie where I can just basically play the movie in my head, and like do the dialogue and like remember what every shot was and what objects are in the background and like that it and I think that poses an actual problem to like objective analysis, because you're just like, I am too close to this and it is too wound up in how I arrived at who I am today. So I kind of like, I feel like I didn't do a great job in this conversation just because I am internally very conflicted and confused about what this movie is saying, and it gets in the way of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't spent a lot of time talking about camera angles and camera movements and color and lighting and that kind of stuff in this conversation, and I think it's because I have not seen this movie as much as you. I did not watch it every day for a week because I'm not insane, but I am very close to this movie as well. So I think it's just, this is going to be one of those conversations that's not quite like any of the other ones, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, we can briefly talk about that stuff though. I mean, I think this is peak grungy Fincher aesthetic.
Yes. Oh my God. This movie is so filthy. It's so filthy.
Yeah.
I think the Paper Street house is just like one of the greatest scenes sets that he's ever created. Like him and that team, that is a perfect, like, it's so disgusting. It's so dirty. It's like the standing water in the basement and like all the water coming out of the hose. And like when he's trying to wash the blood off his shirt with the toothbrush in the sink, and everything's so filthy.
Yeah, it's so gross. And I love the sequences that are just like montages.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, like, so for example, the one where he's listening to Marla and Tyler doing it, and he's like going about his day to, like throughout the house, and it's just a series of small vignettes of just this constant soundtrack of Helena Bonham Carter and Brad Pitt just having a great time making sex noises, and I mean, I love like the little details, like he's standing in like knee deep water while changing a fuse, which is the worst idea in the world.
It's so bad. It's so bad. I love the scene when when Brad Pitt opens the door after having sex with Marla, and he's wearing a rubber glove. That's like my favorite thing ever. It's inexplicable why he's wearing a rubber glove. And I actually looked this up, and that was a Brad Pitt idea. And the head of the studio really hated it, and she was so mad, and she wanted them to take it out, but it got the biggest laugh in the test screenings, so they kept it in.
That's
that's the same thing with the I haven't been fucked like that since grade school line. Did you hear about that one?
Now I can't remember what I heard about it.
The original line was, "I want to have your abortion," and the president of production at Fox hated it so much that she demanded it be changed. And he said, "Fine, I'll change it, but you have to accept the next line." And she said, "Okay." And then he used, "I haven't been fucked like that since grade school." And she hated it even more and wanted it changed back to the original. And he's like, "No, that was the deal. You wanted me to change it. I changed it. That's the deal."
It's kind of amazing that deal would be honored and they wouldn't just be like, no, fuck you. Like,
I wonder if it was like actually signed into something, like, because I feel like it was just a verbal deal. She would have just been like, "No,
right,
no, you can't use either of those lines. I'm the boss."
Yeah, I am the boss. I have the money. Yeah. That's So that's there's a lot of bits of the movie that are actually sort of montages. Like there's the Project Mayhem terrorism montage where it's a whole bunch of different sequences. So that, I mean, that's some really cool visual storytelling, because like the stuff like them putting the like it's this fun kind of like wacky lighthearted soundtrack for that part, and we're cutting between like the guy spraying the priest with the hose and the guy putting the
which is just mean. That's just assault.
Yeah. Just all these different kind of activities, and the camera angles chosen such that you can immediately take in what's happening, even though it's only on the screen for a couple seconds in each case. That's actually, I think, hard to do. They tend to be like very distant, wide shots of the scene to give you a full sense of where you are, and then they just hold that distance for the whole sequence.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about how the camera shoots Brad Pitt's body. Fincher's camera loves Brad Pitt's body, and a specific part of Brad Pitt's body.
Is it?
I think you know exactly which part I'm going to talk about.
I do, but I want to hear you say it, Scott.
I don't know. It has a name for it, right? There's a specific name, but it's the below the waist part, like right when it starts to go to a point towards your privates.
Yeah.
We're on a very like built person, like it concaves a bit on the thighs.
Yeah.
Like the movie
it's
loves.
a V. Yes.
Yeah, it's like there's a V on your waist. The movie loves that part of Brad Pitt, and it is everywhere, and the camera always finds it. The one that I noticed this time was when he's selling the soap to the department store.
His pants are pulled down to within a centimeter of his junk.
Yeah. And it's like, and the camera always finds it. If it's there to be found, it finds it. And I think that's part of Fincher's like this wanting to build this person up as like, this is what the ideal man is supposed to look like. This is, I mean, and it makes sense as it's literally the narrator's construction of ideal mandom.
Yeah.
And then it turns out he's just like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like that's why I love the third act of this movie so much, because like it turns into kind of like slapsticky.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like the post being recognized Tyler Durden, I think is perfect. Like especially the van scene. I love the van scene where it's just he's like goofy. He's just like a goofy idiot now.
Right, and he starts doing like the Bruce Lee stuff and
like the way he takes off the jacket and then it's like stupid. Brad Pitt is so good in this movie. He's so fucking good.
He really is. Yeah. Let's talk about the acting for a second.
Sure.
We sort of already have been, but Edward Norton, I think, like became one of my. I think he may have been my favorite actor for a period of time, and the only reason I don't think I'd say he is anymore is he's just not in that many movies.
He's not.
So it's hard to maintain that level.
He's so good at playing the exact like sniveling kind of loser character while also like being like semi believable as like not a tough guy, but like he can yell. He's got yells.
Yeah, I mean he can be scary when he has to be. I think everybody mentions American History X, and it's like, you put on a moderate amount of muscle and act scary, and he's a really good actor. What was the one with where he plays another person with schizophrenia, actually pretending to have? Never mind. I don't want to spoil that movie because it's too good.
I mean, clearly you're talking about Death to Smoochie.
That's a good movie. That's a damn. I'm talking about the one with Richard Gere.
Yeah, I know which.
But he's scary in that movie too. He's great, and he kind of makes this movie like
he does. Yeah,
the voiceover, which is a very interesting choice.
It is. There's a lot of it, and like a lot of people hate voiceover. I love voiceover, which I think is why this movie like enamored me from the beginning. For whatever reason, I love voiceover.
Yeah. I mean, Brad Pitt's Tyler is great because he both embodies the sort of like idealized man, like, oh man, we all want to look like this guy and be like this guy and be as cool as this guy, but then also embodies the descent into the hollowness and toxicity of what he really is under the surface. Yeah,
the laugh he uses in this movie, Matt, that's not just like Brad Pitt laughing, because I've never heard him use that laugh anywhere else. Not even like he laughs a lot in 12 Monkeys, but it's not the kind of laugh in this movie. This like crazed, unhinged type of laugh. It's really unsettling. Like when he's performing for Lou to get Lou's place back, the way he laughs as he gets the shit beaten out of him. Yeah, it's just so scary.
Yeah, that scene is great. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes that are really his. So
man, I love Lou. I don't like Lou is in the in this movie for like 3 seconds, but you see that sign up front that says Lou's on it? Yeah. I'm fucking Lou.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you? I love it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine anybody but Helena Bonham Carter playing Marla. I
No.
don't know if there's another actress in the world who could play that role and nail it perfectly like she did. She is the perfect, like, believable as kind of the touristy asshole and like the weird, very different kind of girl, but like underneath it all, like you can see as a sweet person that is just begging for some sort of connection, some sort of like anchor to hold on to in this world. Like this might be my favorite role of hers.
You
It
can
really
sort
might
of,
be.
I do love how you can kind of track her character over the course of the movie, and there's a lot of interesting like choices in how she's like costuming and her hair and everything. Like the first time we see her, it's like the scene, the color, the color grading and just the lighting is just very, very dark, and she's wearing like black sunglasses, smoke like inhumanly pouring out of her mouth like she's some kind of demon. And then there's later scenes where she's wearing these like ethereal bridesmaid dress and like,
I loved that scene
with like all this like yellow and like almost pastel light coming in, and her hair is totally different and her makeup is totally different, and
he's so mean to her.
He's so awful, and but yeah, like it actually, I think that almost every scene she's in, she looks different, and it reflects kind of her place in the story at that moment.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, like we said, she's the key to all this. She's the through line of the entire story. And the reason why I think this ending is hopeful, despite 10 buildings being knocked down, is because of that connection. Hey, in 1999, would blowing up a credit card company building actually erase their debt records? Because I mean, obviously in 2020, it would not. Even close. Like they'd have like 3 backups.
Yeah, I mean, I think even back then I would have assumed that the data centers were not in the skyscrapers.
Sure.
Because that would be an inefficient use of your floor space.
And even if they did not have full computerized backups in 1999, which they probably did, but even if they, I mean, they wouldn't be like, they would be on tape. It would be like tape backups, like or they would have some sort of paper backup somewhere. Like I just don't, this is a bad plan, Tyler. It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's like saying the government of the United States will cease to function if you blow up the Capitol. It's like, no, you'll kill some people, but like this Constitution will still exist.
Yeah.
It's that you can't blow up like the Smithsonian and then we're like, oh no, we don't know what the Constitution says anymore. The government's over.
I don't know, man. What if that happened?
What if we steal the Declaration of Independence and then we're part of Britain again?
I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence. I just want to talk about the intro, the like very CGI heavy intro, which was actually pretty daring and cutting edge when this movie was made. So we start off inside his brain.
It's a brain, right? Yeah.
And we're zooming around, and it's very cool and stylistic, and like it's like gray and ugly, but also cool and engaging, and you're not really sure what you're looking at, and you're zooming around through his brain, and then you exit through basically his blood vessels and through his skin, and then trace down his nose and then down the gun barrel, and that all looks fantastic for that time period.
Yeah, sure.
And then we cut to the dialogue between them, where it's just a great cold open where you're like, oh my god, this is so dramatic. What the hell's going on? And then it does, in the middle of that scene, it does the thing where the camera like flies at like 100 miles an hour, like down through the building to see the vans with the bombs. All of this is not. It's I think it's cool. Like it's a very neat directorial choice to do that.
Sure.
And it was very impressive at the time. And I think it still just works really well. It's a great like it works better than if he just said like there's blasting gel wrapped around the foundations of this building. Just having the camera zip over to it with like the whooshing sound and everything. It gives this sense of kinetic energy, and I think that's really maintained throughout the movie. Like just the constant driving like rhythm and energy of every part of the movie. You can almost like walk in and walk out of this movie and it doesn't like, and just ignore the story and you'll still have a good time because like every scene is like clipping long. It's just,
yeah. This is a 2 hour and 20-minute movie. It's a long movie. And it doesn't feel like that. I think you're absolutely right. It just moves. It's just constantly moving. And I think the voiceover kind of helps that because it carries you. It pulls you along through the narrator.
I think you're right about that.
I always forget about the callback humor joke.
Yeah.
Every time I always forget about it. And then and then I watch it again. I was like, oh, that's really fucking funny movie. Good job.
Yeah.
Man, I really, really like this movie. And I mean, I guess as we wrap up here, like, why do you think, judging by the other 3 movies we've talked about, why do you think Fincher was like, I want to make this movie? What is it about this movie, this idea, that you think called him? It's a tough question.
Yeah. Do you have an idea? I'm going to try to fumble for something, but I don't really have any notion.
I think if you look at this movie and you look at Seven, I think these are 2 movies in which we're talking about human beings struggling with meaninglessness in society, with this idea that in modern day living, like we've lost our way somehow, and things have gotten so bad that everyone is miserable, and the only effective way to deal with that is via some sort of grand gesture. In Seven, it was the serial killers like, we're going to make everyone learn via this display of the 7 deadly sins. In Fight Club, it's Project Mayhem. But I mean, I do see a through line in that. And I mean, connecting it back to the game, that's also a movie in which a rich man seems lost and like just is miserable, and if his life feels pointless and it's not going anywhere, and this grand gesture wakes him up from that existence.
Yeah, he's also very lonely and isolated, just like the narrator in this movie.
And I think in Alien 3, I think there's loneliness and isolation in that as well.
Yeah, there's also the idea of giving up, or the possibility of giving up in all these movies. Like do you give up, or do you commit to continuing to try even though it's hard? I see that in like the doctor character in Alien 3. I see that in the game, where he's struggling with the idea that his dad committed suicide at about this age, and he's like, I could just give up, basically. And in this movie, Edward Norton is sort of on the cusp of giving up, you could say. I think I even could make an argument about 12 Monkeys. Yeah, I think they are a lot of related, a lot of similar
12 Monkeys is not a
characters.
Fincher movie, is it? I don't think it is.
What?
12 Monkeys isn't Fincher.
Oh, no, I don't even know why I said that. I think I just said that because my brain connected Brad Pitt. Yeah,
Brad Pitt. Yeah.
Which it kind of feels like a Fincher movie, but
it does actually. That's a Terry Gilliam one.
Yeah. No, you're of course you're right about that. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I like that. I hadn't thought about it, but that's a really good question, and I think we should keep that question in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially as we move into our next Fincher film, which is going to be an interesting one, because up next we have Panic Room, which is a movie I've only seen that a couple times, and it's been a while. So I like Jodie Foster a lot.
Yeah, I think I like that movie. I think I mean, I do like that movie. I just haven't seen it in forever. So yeah, looking forward to that. My
memory of that movie is it's kind of like Fincher just like having a ball with his direction. Like it's a single location movie. It all takes place in this house. And I think he's going to do a lot of fun things with camera angles. So I'm looking forward to really diving into that, maybe more so than we did for Fight Club. But I am looking forward to that a whole bunch.
Certainly is a simpler plot.
Yes, definitely.
Sounds good.
All right. So that is Fight Club. Now we'll come back to it in another 5 years and see how we're doing.
when we're about 40.
Oh my God, don't say that. Fuck. All right, so before we went for the day, Matt, I just wanted to have a quick segment to talk about international film, and an area of our podcast that I think I haven't done as good of a job on. I don't want to say we, because I don't want to blame you for anything. I haven't done as good of a job on highlighting international film, and I bring this up, as I said at the top, because Parasite, my favorite movie of the last year, won Best Picture at the Oscars 2 weeks ago. And actually, our president made fun of it today or yesterday. I'm not sure exactly when that was. It was on all the news today. It was a rally he did where he's like, how does a foreign film win Best Picture? Like, I haven't even seen it. Well, what's it about? Is it any good? I don't know. We need films like Gone with the Wind. It's like, Jesus, Donald. But anyway.
Okay.
My point is, this is like Parasite winning Best Picture was a big deal. Is the first time in the 92-year history of the Academy that a film not made in the United States has won Best Picture. The last time that it was really close that could happen was in the year 2000 with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which did not end up winning. Really, really good movie though.
Yeah.
And this is a big deal. And I think like it's a reminder, I think, that there's movies made everywhere. There's not movies just made in this country. And, you know, when I open up our website and I look at our old Doofcast episodes, you know, it's mostly American film. I mean, there are some exceptions, and they're mostly thanks to our incredible patrons that have forced us to watch things that are outside of our wheelhouse. Like the ones that jump into my head at that are Three Idiots, the Indian film we watched, Tampopo, which is a really good Japanese film we watched, and then of course Your Name was an anime. I think like we got Japan down, like with all the anime we end up doing, like we're doing good on Japan. But there's they tell me there's a lot of other countries out there, Matt, and they have moving pictures as well.
Interesting. Yeah. Why don't they simply make their films in English and in America?
Well, that would be nice. No, I mean, like there were like after Parasite won, there were a bunch of stupid think pieces about like subtitles are hard, and that's why they don't win, because nobody wants to read. And first of all, that's silly. And the thing that I love about subtitles is like 10 minutes into the movie, you forget you're reading. You just get so sucked into it that you're not really even paying attention to the subtitles anymore. But I bring this up because I want to acknowledge that I want to do that. Like, I don't know if there's a list of the best movies of all time, right? Like there's an AFI list, American Film Institute list of the top 100 greatest movies of the past 100 years. Those are entirely American films. And there is such a rich, wonderful history of foreign film out there that I want to spend some time getting into. And so I think one of the things we're going to do after we finish up Fincher is like prioritize a foreign filmmaker for our next Deconstructing series. I think who came in second? It was Guillermo del Toro came in second, right? I think that's a great place to start. He's done a lot of American films, and we would do a lot of American films, but like his first movie, Kronos, was a Mexican film. I think it's entirely in Spanish. I really want to talk about that one. All this to be said, I want, and I'm kind of curious what you think about this, Matt. I don't know how many like the most foreign films I get experience to is when I go to Fantastic Fest and I see a bunch of foreign films because they have a bunch of foreign genre films come. But outside of that, like it's more effort. It definitely is more effort. It's easier to see American film.
Yeah, right. And I mean, it's such an unknown for me, right? Like I can probably tell you the names of a bunch of Chinese martial arts movies. Mm-hmm. But that's a very narrow thing, right? Or I'm sure there's people who we know who could rattle off just a very long list of Japanese films, anime or otherwise. But like, I'm sure there's whole, I don't know anything about French films or really any European films outside of, the UK where they'd be making them in English. So like just it's just a dark place on the map for me where I just don't know. I don't know what I don't know. And that's actually what I'm most curious about is like, what are the best things that I've never heard of?
Right.
That's what I would love to look into.
Yeah, and I'm going to spend some time doing research for this, but the reason why we're talking about this is because I want to open it up to some of our listeners. I know we have listeners that are not American, that have some insight into maybe the foreign films of your country or your region. Please reach out to us and let us know, like, what is the top 10 films where you're from. I would love that information, but I also want to see if there's if someone's taken the time to compile a list, because I found a list of the top 100 films of all time for the 21st century so far, right? So it's a list of the top 100 films after 2000, and that has a bunch of international films on it, and that's a great place to start. But film history is rich, and we can look back to the past 100 years and see every single country out there making amazing movies, and I want to learn about these. I want to spend some time. Mexican cinema is, from all I've heard, is supposed to be absolutely rich and incredible. I mean, French cinema is very well known, but German cinema, Irish cinema,
Italian
cinema, Korean cinema. I have seen woefully few Korean movies, and considering I love Bong Joon-ho, I feel like I would love Korean cinema. And I feel like also we do this thing where no one, if you say American cinema, right, that's not a specific type of movie.
Right.
There's a bunch, and I think we tend to flatten this when we talk about other countries, right? We think Korean cinema and we think, oh, it must be this certain type of movie. But no, there's genres in every country,
right.
and I want to experience all of that. So I think that is going to be, we're looking into always. I'm not saying we're going to change the show and suddenly the show is going to be about something different, but I do want to spend some time. I think we talked about this at our episode in December when we ended the decade, about how few foreign films were on our top of the decade list. And I was like, this decade, I'm not going to make that same mistake. And I think, for me, Parasite winning the Oscar was a way to get my ass in gear on that. So that's something I want to be very aware of and conscious of. And I want our listeners to kind of help us out with that if they don't mind.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah. So foreign film, let's do it. Let's not just be those Fight Clubby Americans.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like you said, we can spend months talking about a single filmmaker, and there's huge variety even within that person's filmography. So you go to a whole country, the variety is going to be absurd.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Maybe that's deconstructing. It's Korea.
Yeah.
That's too big of it. That challenge.
Every film that Korea has ever made.
Yep.
In order.
And I've seen some really good Iranian films, Matt. There's some Iranian cinema is really good, and I've only seen a few, and I don't know. I just feel like there's so many movies out there, and I just want to if we have to acknowledge, I think one of the things about getting older is you just kind of realize that I'm never going to be able to watch everything I want to watch, right? I'm never going to be able to read everything I want to read. But acknowledging that, I think, therefore, you can be more selective and try to broaden your horizon as much as possible. It's I can't watch all the movies, so I should be more selective in which movies I choose to spend my time on, especially with this show. So that's all I really had to say about that. Congratulations, Parasite. Matt, I think we need to do an episode on that movie, because I think it's the type of movie that you are going to love and would love to talk about, because it is so detailed. Talk about detailed directing. Holy shit. There's so much imagery going on in that movie. Oh my God.
All right.
Watch Parasite.
I will do my best to watch it this weekend, and maybe we could even squeeze it in soon.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that is all we had for you guys this week. If you have any opinions on Fight Club, or like we said, want to reach out to us about foreign film, please do. You can reach out to us via email at doofmedia@gmail.com or on our Twitter account @doofmedia.
Yeah, and if you're not already subscribed to this podcast, we encourage you to do so and ensure you never miss an episode. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, and pretty much anywhere else podcasts can be found.
And as always, you can find this and all of our shows over at our website, doofmedia.com. That's where you can find our newest show, We Want More. You can find Kingslingers. You can find our OC podcast, What You Say. There's so many shows over there. It's an embarrassment of riches.
It really is. Yeah, also please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Every review helps us get more exposure and introduces new people to the content that we make here.
Yeah, and if you want to support us financially, you can do so at our Patreon account. That's patreon.com/doofmedia. You can pledge from several different amounts that have a bunch of different bonuses. I think the $5 amount is our Doof Dancer level. I still don't get that one. Elliot, if you're listening, what does that mean? What's a Doof Dancer? Elliot, what?
I think
is
it's
that an Australian
it's like
thing?
a rave. It's like you're a dancer at a rave.
I guess. Anyway, that gets you access to our monthly Doof and Chills, where we just hang out on stream for a couple hours doing whatever, as well as just random hangouts in our Discord chat. So head on over to patreon.com/doofmedia and you can see that and all of our other rewards. We actually, Matt, are like 3 patrons away from our next goal, which, speaking of Elliot, is going to be a YouTube show exploring game design, where we want to get into video. We've been talking about this for a long time, and Elliot, one of our partners that does the Media MD shows and Deep Impact, turns out he knows a lot about games. So he's going to do a show exploring some elements of game design, and we just need 3 more patrons to make that happen.
It could be you and you
and also
you.
Unless you have if you have like a person inside of you, like a second person, please, like, both of you support us. Then it's 2 of you.
And if you don't know what your actual name is right now, then that's a big hint as to whether that's the case.
Yeah, that's true. When someone asks you your name and then a bus drives by,
and then it cuts to the next scene.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty big hint. All right, guys, we will see you all next week, where we are going to be covering the video game Soma. This is one of our patron-produced episodes. One of our patrons asked us to play this game. We haven't done a video game episode in a while, Matt, so I'm interested to see how this goes.
Me too.
So we'll see you next week to talk about Soma.
And you'll do what I say. My name is Doof, and you'll do what I say.